Welcome to the Select Finance Committee meeting, 10 a.m., February 28th. Yay, one more day in February. January and February are going to be in the rear view mirror. I like it that way. Okay. Respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gathered today is the unceded traditional territory of the Secwepemc people. So it's called to order. We have approval of the Select Finance Committee agenda. And that we recommend that the Select Finance Committee meeting agenda for February 28, 2024 be approved as circulated. So to move that. Thank you, Mayor Anderson and Councillor McKay. All in favor? Okay.
Can't see Gord Bush. Oh,
Gord, where are you?
he's got no video on.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, Gord, you okay?
Hi, Gord.
Yeah? Can't hear you, buddy.
He's moving.
Oh, he's moving. Okay. He voted yes. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I was unable to attend, and I'll do my best to try to participate.
It's all good. Where are you, Gordon?
I'm at the Anaheim Heli Expo show.
Cool.
Helicopter
in
show.
Anaheim.
Nice. Okay. Adoption of minutes. Recommendation that the minutes of the Select Finance Committee meeting held on January 24, 2024 be adopted. Somebody move that. Thank you, Mayor Anderson, Councillor McCabe. All in favor? Okay.
Word's in favor. He just doesn't know it.
New business, railway crossing rehab, Silver Sands, CPKC representatives present.
Okay,
Bianca, take it away.
so as I counsel last committee meeting, there is a rehab that is going to be done at the Silver Sands Road crossing. So CPKC has provided us with a quote on how much that is going to cost. The tune of just over $160,000. And we have Paul online from CPKC to answer any questions. And right now, how this is going to be funded is $50,000 through general revenue, and then the remainder from prior surplus. So, and there's some pictures attached to the agenda just of the crossing. So.
Go ahead.
I think Councillor Pam Beach had, she emailed a concern about that crossing. She's not here, but she did mention she wanted something about that crossing in the email she sent out. Silver Sands crossing. Okay.
I don't
There's
know.
been so many emails.
I haven't, I can't keep track of them either. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else?
And
Any
comments from Paul.
Yeah, any comments from you, Paul?
No, I looked at the crossing. My territory is Alberta, BC, so I had to look into the crossing to see the concerns. I called the roadmaster before I got on the phone or on the call here. And there's evidence of mudding to either side. And I was on location with the representatives of Sycamoose as well, Nicole, and I forget the other gentleman's name. And the flangeways within the crossing are not stable anymore. I see in this picture, perhaps the concrete is breaking down close to the rail on the left-hand side. But there were parts that it was 6.5 inches across, and we're only allowed 4.7 inches by Transport Canada. The planks themselves or the concrete themselves are 11 feet long. So I really don't know when the last time this crossing was rehabbed, but it was quite some time ago. I've not worked for CP when we installed this type of concrete. That's how long it's been sitting in the ground.
Paul, how long does a rehab like that take?
Rehab. So what the guys will do is they'll come in one day and they'll build a track panel beside the track, say where that truck is now, but it won't disturb the train or the motor vehicle traffic. But the next day, then they'll come in and remove that concrete and start with the rehab. They'll remove the rail, they'll remove the ties, they'll resurface through there. Then the following day, they'll come in and put the new concrete in. So by about 11 o'clock, 12, the asphalters will then come in and put the asphalt in. And I should have backed up. When we take that concrete out, the asphalt or the road material on both sides will also be taken out another couple of feet to each side. So when we come back in and put the new concrete panels in, then we have to re-asphalt the next day. And that re-asphalting will probably be around noontime. And forgive me, I don't know how long asphalt takes to set, but it'll only be about 2 feet wide, and I assume 8 inches deep. And then the traffic can run after that. So it'll be almost 48 hours.
Couple days. Daryl, do you got any questions or comments?
Sure, through the chair, just in terms of your work plan, Paul, you're saying a couple days of work. What do you anticipate for crossing issues for people getting in and out of there? Would that remain open the whole time? Is that what you're proposing?
No, so there'll be during that 48-hour period, there'll be a hole dug 2.5 feet deep. So vehicles will be unable to reverse there. I can ask that a temporary planked crossing be put perhaps at the end of the crossing that you see here to allow one-way traffic. But typically the road is closed for 24 hours and you can't get in or out.
Yeah, Councilor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you. And then Pauline's.
Sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, I see that as an issue for emergency response vehicles, you know, specifically for first responders. Even if it's just single lane alternating of some sort, I think that would, I mean, that's probably gonna cost a bit more, but safety first.
Yeah, since that's the one way
Yeah.
out.
You know, I don't think it can be done on the east side or the bridge side. There's not enough room, if I remember correctly. But on the west side, what we're looking at, I can see a possibility that I guess we have a ditch line as well as trees. But on the west side, perhaps we can put 20-foot planks and crushed stone. I don't think it will add that much extra expense because it would be treated as a temporary crossing.
Gotcha. Mayor Anderson.
Thank you. Malcolm just addressed one of my concerns, but my other concern is the contract that we have. And Paul, I guess my question is, are all communities paying for the rehab of the crossings in their communities? Or this contract that I looked at is from 1962?
Yeah.
62 years old, and I know that for a fact.
How?
So I don't want to disclose my sources. So I guess, have those been freshened up? And I mean, there's got to be some responsibility for the rail line as well to take some of this on. 160,000. I think it's been reduced by 20,000, which was expensive before it was reduced, and it's still expensive. So I guess my question is twofold. Are communities doing their rehab? Are their contracts being renegotiated with CP for rehab? And I don't know, is there some other, sorry, is it the agreement or the
So-
contract?
No, it's an agreement.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So maybe I should go back that CP has 8,000 railway crossings on its network just in Canada. So that's a lot of burden for a railway that considers railway crossings a safety hazard as well as a maintenance concern. I haven't heard of any. I've heard of a desire from one community to rewrite the agreements, but I don't see any desire on CP side to have a rewritten agreement. This is kind of like I guess, a midlife agreement for me. I look at agreements in 1886. That's how far I go back for agreements for towns and villages. In British Columbia, or in the prairies, the range roads, typically CP pays for any range road or township road because it was considered that these range roads were surveyed before the railway got there. So in this case here, the railway came before the road was put across the railway. And that's why the town here is 100% on the hook.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Councilor Beach?
okay, so first of all, I want to apologize for arriving late on your presentation. So from what you just said then, the road to Silver Sands was in before the railway? Is that what he just?
Oh, the
No,
railway.
it's-
The railway was in before, the road? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so most roads, all these agreements, unless there's an oddity, are based on who was there first. So if,
Okay,
let's say, the railway was there first and then a road or a crossing was put over top of the railway, then it would be the burden of the road authority to pay for the crossing. But let's say Silver Sands was there first, then it would be the burden of the railway to pay for that cost. And
Gotcha.
mostly in British Columbia, because of the mountains, it's the burden of the road authorities rather than the railway.
Gotcha. Barry Anderson?
So I guess the question is why they put the road there? Was Silver Sands already there or like? So that's question one. And my second question is this deterioration or necessary rehab because of rail traffic or car traffic? Because if it's rail traffic, I think we all know that the cars are getting longer and trains are getting a lot longer. So are these spaces going to deteriorate faster now? So I guess I just want to try to drill down to if this is
No,
going
that's
to.
fine. I guess the evidence would be in this, without going too far, would be we're not taking out the rail beyond the crossing to any length. We're not replacing 5 or 12 miles of rail. We're just replacing the rail and the ties underneath the crossing. So what happens in railway crossings is that environmental conditions, and I'm not too sure, I'm not a scientist on this, but you'll find that railway crossings either sink a little bit or they rise a little bit, but they're not the same as the rest of the track around it. They're encapsulated, they trap moisture underneath these railway crossings. We have a greater possibility of a rail break underneath of these crossings because of different environmental conditions. The track is made to take trains in one or the other direction, but the road vehicles are hitting the rail. And the rail is not designed to take impact from 90 degrees. So they tend to wear out faster. And in this case, the ties underneath have worn out faster than the rest of the ties around it. And the rail will be replaced at the same time because it may be worn, it may not be worn, but we always replace everything at the same time because we don't want to come back in 5 years and take this all apart again and then there'll be another additional bill.
Gotcha. Councilor McCabe?
Yeah, sort of along what Madam Mayor was speaking to. I think the road is public in 62, but then turned over to the district as a district road from a provincial road in 99. But why, it might be more harder administratively, but why would we pay for replacing your tracks when the train is what's wearing down the actual track. Why aren't we breaking out these maintenance costs for, so you say at the right angle, it impacts the ties more and the base more, and that's understandable, so they need to be replaced to have a proper foundation there, but the track themselves are worn out by the train, and so why wouldn't that burden be on CP? And have the maintenance costs broke out between base, road base, train, rail base and track replacement.
Yeah, I guess on the CP side, why would CP want a railway crossing at all? We don't want the 8,000 railway crossings. But it's been a burden put on CPKC, whether it's billable or not. And yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Bianca?
Paul, just a question on timing, because the closer we get to summer, the busier it gets. When, would your crews be expected to do this work?
well, yeah, I'd have to ask, but typically CP only works between March and October after the spring thaw and then before the spring or before the winter freeze. Like lately, we've been having more warmer weather, so the construction season may last into November.
Okay,
I just note that because the population on the other side of the tracks quadruples during the summertime.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah.
yeah, starting late May. Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor McCabe. This should be a split cost. I don't quite understand why it's not, and I think that it's time for the contract to be, I mean, some of these contracts should maybe be reviewed. I mean, we look at contracts, you know, some of our old stuff now that we're bringing up, so yeah, I guess we decide where we go from here.
Councillor Rich?
Through the chair, just a question, when the work's being done, we've got a lot of folks on that side, and what happens with emergency? Like, how long will the tracks be closed on is it a 20-minute base? Is it a 40-minute base? Is it an hour? As construction happens?
Yeah, it's closer to 48 hours. So if we didn't talk today and I didn't see your desire for another entrance, this work, you couldn't cross the tracks if we hadn't had this conversation. It'll be closed for 48 hours because there'll be a 2.5-foot hole, at least 80 feet long here.
Yeah, so we talked earlier about the idea of having a one-way traffic plywood filler while they do half of it.
Okay.
Yeah, Councillor Beach?
Well, I just want to say, I think it's interesting to hear that CP Rail doesn't really want to have any crossings as it goes through. It goes through many of the national properties all along its travels. I would prefer that they have a more collaborative approach. We do need crossings. Our properties are being divided, so that's interesting hearing that perspective.
No, it's we do have a collaborative approach. Like, we offered to rehab the crossing. We did not offer to close the crossing, and we understand that there's access needed at certain locations, and communities can't afford at minimum a $12 million grade separation to go across the railway tracks. But on the other hand, if a railway had its preference, there would be no railway crossings because that's the place where people get struck by trains, regardless of a warning system being in place. In fact, I seen a study from the TSA that stated 40% of train accidents are still at locations with warning systems.
Gotcha.
And then we have the burden of maintaining the crossings, whether we pay for it or not. We have to have staff available to maintain the crossing. And we would rather focus on getting a train from A to B. So do we want railway crossings? No. Do we understand that they're needed? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson.
And not to be disrespectful, but I mean, we have a community here that needs to go back and forth. I get the train needs to go back and forth, but we also have a responsibility to our community. So, yeah, I just wanted to make that comment, and I guess we'll move on from, figure out where we go from here.
Daryl.
Yeah, through the chair, just a couple of quick questions, Paul. As you've heard today, that extra lane is going to be pretty critical for residents getting in and out of Silver Sands. Do we need to formally request that? Can we leave that with you? What does that look like? We have to be assured that we can keep a lane open. So how do we do this?
Yeah, when we finish our meeting here, I'll talk to the field staff and I'll make sure that there's a lane of traffic. And it'll be up to the field to decide what they do. They may just put down 7 20-foot planks, or they may put crushed stone over the tracks to allow emergency vehicles. And they may come back and say that there's obstacles. I don't know in the field. Maybe there's a culvert nearby. Maybe you would know better than I. But I'll try my best to find another location that traffic can flow.
Okay, I appreciate that. And if you can just loop us in on your correspondence with your team, that'd be great.
Yep.
And then secondly, you've got some allowances. They're big allowances for equipment and some contracted services.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to provide the documentation to us that, the excavator actually cost 20,000 for 2 days, or would we be able to?
When the work is complete, we'll give the invoices to the community, but I've already offered the community that they could take on some of the contract services, such as if the community deems that traffic control is required, then they're more than the community can take on that contracted service. If they want to take on asphalting, they can take on that if they want.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. And we did look at that, and not to be disrespectful, but we haven't had great communication from CP. So coordinating asphalt at the right time, I just don't see that playing out. So, I mean, if we can just have some justification for the billing, that would be great.
I think it could. Again, I guess I could use that word collaborative. If we told you what contractor we prefer to use, and you talk to that contractor, then you could take it over from your end. And some of those costs may be reduced because of administration fees, for instance. So I think there's an opportunity there.
Well, we can talk about that, but I also see my list has about 12 different CP employees. So what I'm hearing, if I line up a contractor for asphalt, you're going to shuttle your 12 employees to meet their schedule? Is that even reasonable?
Let's say that it was all CP's burden for the contracting. We would talk to the contractor and we would work it out between our activities for them to come in and do their work. So we could still talk to them, but perhaps we could say, hey, bill the community directly rather than bill CP Rail.
Okay, we'll take this up after the meeting. Paul, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I think that's a good way to do it, actually, if you want to save some money.
And we do.
Sure. Councillor Rich, and then Mayor Anderson, is your hand up?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay.
Through the chair, 2 things. Have we looked, and I'm coming to the party late, so know that. Have we looked at going under, like having access from the beach park and going over or under there? So that would be my first question. And then my second, it'll be a statement. And we do appreciate you guys. And we do know that you move everything across the country every day. So that is our medicine and my IKEA stuff and my groceries. So again, I just want to put a shout out to the people that work for CP and are out there. I live right next to the tracks. And we do appreciate what you do and what you're moving across our country daily.
Well, thank you.
But have we looked at away from the beach park?
Well, he just mentioned it would be about 12 million bucks for a grade separation. That's the grade separation, either over or under. He said roughly ballpark 12 million.
Yeah, it's for one, I think I would say that's highly minimum. Between 12 and 16 million would be the price for grade separation. Our trains are, say, 21 feet tall, and it takes a lot to straddle the railway going above and below. I don't know what the requirements are for the clearance for the type of vehicle that you want to get in and out of the community, but it's quite expensive. Where there's water around, you may have to have special pumps to keep the water clear. It's an expensive endeavor.
Yeah, Salmon Arms was upwards of 20 million. It's crazy. So when we say 16 million, we're probably looking at 25. Anyone else?
And that's where I get back to, yes, the railways don't want railway crossings, but we totally understand why they're needed, and it's due to the cost factor.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Are we good for now? Okay, thanks, Paul, and thanks for following up with Daryl, and we appreciate your time.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Happy Wednesday.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hey,
Okay, bioheat operating budget, Bianca.
so we've had our first quarter of bioheat revenue coming in. So looking at the actual, so we have two connections to the bioheat. Total revenue in 2023 for 3 months was about $24,000, and budgeting into 2024. Knowing that 2023 numbers, those connected were really playing around with their heat source because it is a completely different source of heat than what they were previously connected to. So just looking at it for the usage, October, they were only really using it for partial month, November, full month, but November was a bit high, just trying to figure out those heat levels. I think in December, at the end of December, they really got it dialed in. So looking at budgeting next year, what I've kind of done here is knowing that, January can usually be a bit of a colder month, like December, January, February, a bit colder months. Looking at those kilowatt hours for the agreement, it's 10 cents kilowatt hour. And then a little bit in March, a little bit October, they turn off the heat the springtime when it warms up. So those are just projections for 2024. Looking at the total tons used and projecting that based on what we're currently using. And then our other expenditures, insurance, contracted services, propane as backup included in there. And right now, Fink is coordinating the wood chips and the operations with PW, learning this new process, but it doesn't take a lot of time. It's mostly just making sure that the wood chipper is full, as you guys have seen on your tour. It's a pretty self-sufficient system at this point. So yeah, that's the 2024 budget, and any comments would be appreciated.
Councilor Cav.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Yeah, as you mentioned, Fink's contracted that for the first 2 years, I believe, at no cost to the district. So minimal labor costs, but after the 2-year period, are you forecasting cost of the chips from then that time forward?
Yeah, we've kept the cost of the chips for the time forward the same. We'll be looking into all the different sourcing of it. Daryl's team and everything will be looking into that. But we should see it pretty consistent. Like right now, we're a flat ton rate. It doesn't go up and down. It's $120 a ton plus PST. So yeah, right now I've projected it. I think every year I do about a 2% increase. for costs.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
And just one final note, the net revenue, we're putting it into reserve for any, this is a new system, any unexpected things or anything, straight to reserve.
Perfect.
Kelly?
I just wanted to ask Daryl a question. Do we have any more people other than those two? Is there any other businesses in the industrial park that are to hook up?
Looking, yes, but currently connected, no.
Couple? Is there a
Yeah,
couple
there's a couple that
that have draft
potential.
that are thinking about it?
Yeah, there's one that's actually put infrastructure in place and another one that's considering, so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when we had the Think guy come out and talk to us about the biofuel, that we talked about the source of chips. And of course, we don't know we have forest yet, so, but I guess I've certainly seen communities that are harvesting some of their trees and tree tops and stuff and turning them into chips. So I would just like to sort of express the need for us to be really open to finding ways of sourcing and getting our own chip source up and running, because I think that it would be good in so many different ways. It would address environmental issues, it would energy issues and everything. So I just want to keep that open as a part of the discussion of the bioheat.
Yeah. What else?
Okay, and then the next one, this is just a verbal update. We've talked about cemetery in the past. I talked to our area E representative and was told apply for that grant and aid. So council's blessing, I'll be applying for a $2,000 grant and aid for our cemetery. And yeah, so yeah. Siobhan?
Yeah, through the chair. I mean, again, I've been vocal about this. I don't think this should be a grant and aid. I think I for that, so please take it that way. I don't think Area E works with us. It's all we all share the same dead people over there. And at 20,000 and they're paying 2, I don't think we need to apply every year for grant aid. I really feel, and I'll put that out there, that this should be a commitment from the CSRD where they're paying half and we move forward on that. So I appreciate the grant aid and I appreciate what you're doing there. I don't think we need to be applying and having to go through some funding for this. So not you, just putting it on record that I think this should be a shared cost between Sycamus and the CSRD.
Bianca?
And just some comments on that. This is Sycamus's only cemetery. Area E actually has multiple like other cemeteries that they pay into. For 2024, I'll apply for the grant for 2,000 and then we can have conversations with Rona and CSRD, but just for now for budget.
100% appreciate it.
Okay.
100% appreciate it. So know that, but I'm just like, we're a family and we should all work.
Duly noted. Okay, good stuff. All right. Good with that? Any other questions on the cemetery? Okay, go ahead to the next point, estimated tax increase.
So, all that I'm taking into consideration now. I have no other new items to introduce today. So. Just wanna go over. Our current tax increase. So everything we've discussed previously, we're at 3.25%. There was discussions last finance meeting about potentially increasing what we put to capital, which we haven't done for the last few years, increased our capital reserves. So just looking where we're sitting at, especially compared to CPI and communities around us. I'm proposing a 5% increase to our transfers in reserve, so we transfer about 620,000 in general every year. So a 5% increase would be 31,000. Found a little bit of an offset. Our prior year supplementals came in at about 17,000. So collectively, these two, if we increase the reserves a little bit, taking into consideration our prior supplementals, coming in an additional 0.27%, bringing us to a total tax increase of 3.52%. So if council wants to discuss, the 5%, if they're okay with that.
Comments or questions? Counselor McCabe.
I looked at all your comparisons, other communities and the job well done to staff. And a little bit to council, but mainly to staff for 3.52. Cheaper than anybody in anywhere that I've seen. Good job.
Counselor Beach and then Mayor Anderson.
Oh,
It's okay. Go ahead, Councilor.
to the chair. Yeah, I agree with Malcolm. I looked at that and I'm really proud of the fact that we've managed to keep it so, so reasonable compared to other communities. Good on you.
Mayor Anderson.
I just want to echo that as well. Thank you to staff. We have so much going on right now and there's a lot going on in our community, a lot of bills going on, and to have, a 3.52. That's amazing. We are fortunate. Thank you guys very much for all your hard work. Malcolm's right. Maybe a little bit of credit to count. But thank you. No,
Yeah, and
fine.
yeah, I was just, looking at that, the soy is 37% and realizing that it's better to march the ball up the field like we're doing this necessary increments rather than delay it and then sticker shock, scare the tar out of everybody with that 37% increase. The soy is. Bianca, more comments?
Nope, I can move on to some of the PDFs you guys are already talking about. So the average residential homes, looking at it 2023 to 2024 with that increase. So a few things. So top part is our municipal services at $2,790 for 2024 for the average residential home. And then I'm still waiting. So we don't receive the other tax authorities information till later. We have our draft CSRD budget and I have received the. So I've put those in and I've just estimated, 4% increase for the rest to bring us at $4 per residential home. And that's including the average water and sewer as well. That one, and then this one that you guys all seem to enjoy with other municipalities. So this is based on the 2023 numbers because obviously 2024s aren't out yet. Just comparing us to the other municipalities within the CSRD. Overall municipal services, we are the lowest, but you have to take in considerations other factors. We have policing down here as a small community, us in Golden. We get it through the province. So whereas other Salmon and Revelstoke would have it in their municipal factor. We all receive different services from CSRD, pay into different things. Golden actually has their library within their CSRD requisition, so you can't really compare apples to apples all the time. Like say we have some oranges in the bunch and we all also receive different services. But overall, we're pretty on par with everyone else. And then I did a breakdown just of the CSRD requisitions between the four to show you the makeup of that number up top. What makes it up. And then also, I know later we have a delegation coming to talk about garbage and recycling collections. So I just dove into those munis, what they're paying in for it. So it's an extra charge per household. So in Salmon Arm, it's $101 per household. Revelstoke. Per dwelling unit. Make sure we're still on. and then Golden 99. So some of these say Revelstoke, you'll pay your collection, and then if you have like a secondary suite or anything like that, you pay additional. So they're trying to capture as much as possible for what's going to the curb. A little bit complicated, but just to note, like, this is not in their general municipal, this is an extra charge. And then, yeah, and then I just did a little breakdown of life versus L as well, so if anyone has any questions. Kelly has some notes.
I just want to comment that I was very impressed with this when Bianca put it together. It's really interesting to see how we do compare to our neighbors within our region. I know we all offer different services, but you know, ours, we're offering medical services. I don't think anybody else is, but they offer other services that potentially that we don't. Something that I just wanted to highlight, if you go up to the water and the sewer. If you take a look, and it's hard because they're not total together, but our water, like Salmon Arm and all the other three, Salmon Arm, Revelstoke and Golden, they charge more for a secondary suite, whereas we don't right now. Like, they charge an additional charge, whether it's double or like a half of what the base amount is for an average residential. So their water and sewer actually, if you have a suite, ends up by being more, and that's something that we'll be looking at when we review our water and sewer fees, but just, you know, I know it's not taxes, but it's all about the services we offer, and I think we're comparable, if not, you know, on the cheaper side of municipalities in our region. And I know we hear otherwise frequently, but not frequently, but from time to time. Time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Siobhan.
Yeah, and through the chair, I think we need to also be very cognizant that we do have a medical center and we have really great healthcare in our community. And that's not cheap, but it's something we do. And we do it well.
Mayor Anderson.
I'm gonna echo that. I think that we are fortunate to have that service. We might not have a garbage pickup, but we've got a dock in town, so you know what? And the other thing is, it's a fact of life. Taxes are gonna continue to go up, so we guard it as well as we can. We provide the services that we can for the amount of taxes that we keep as low as we can to provide those services, so.
And considering inflation right now, we're below that, okay. Yeah, and then Malcolm. Yeah.
Thank you. Through the chair, again, I want to thank Bianca for pulling out the line on and the comparison on garbage and recycling. I think it's an area that we definitely need to look at seriously, just in terms of climate adaptation and energy efficiency, and just that reuse and recycle of our natural resources, because it'll end up being cheap for us in the long run, even if we have to do put a little bit more investment into it. So I really appreciate that. It highlights an area that we really need to work on.
So, Councilor Kev.
Yeah, just what Councillor Evans just said, actually, our tax increase is less than the CPI, Consumer Price Index cost, which is, how do you do that?
You know what, I will say, we are lean and we watch every penny and we don't inflate our budgets. Right? We don't give us any buffer or wiggle room for extra stuff. It's a very lean budget, and we operate like Daryl watches everything, and we try to trim the fat where we can. And as do Bianca and myself, we have a team who's very mindful of the dollar spent.
Because wizards.
We treat them like they're our dollars.
Yeah.
Right?
Siobhan.
And through the chair, and Bianca put some money out to the side. So when we have an issue, we got some money, and we appreciate that. Like that, I look at that and I'm like, oh, thank the Lord, because something always goes wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Bianca.
I just want to note, just on the garbage and collection, I don't know if any of you have gotten the food cycler. I tested my mom's out this weekend because she has one at her house, and wow, I'm impressed by it.
Have one here.
Yeah.
Star Trek technology. Siobhan.
And through the chair on that, I'm outside I'm CSRD, so I couldn't get one, but a lot of my friends, and I have, everybody loves, I get videos and they're named. It's like Matilda's eating the garbage, right? And look how quiet she is. So I just want to say what a great program and honestly just have had massive feedback. And that's one more things. And that also comes down to our rats and raccoons, right? So, or less of them, hopefully.
Pam,
Yeah, I got one and I'm using it daily because I've been saving up compost for a while, knowing that they're coming. And it's amazing. It's amazing, like peat moss. It's beautiful stuff. I can hardly wait to get it into the garden. And not my garden, but the resource center garden. And yeah, I think this is great. We need to continue the program and I think the word will spread. And I think this is sort of one level that we will achieve in terms of moving in that direction of dealing with our waste. And it's a great solution. It's wonderful.
good stuff. All right, moving on. Oh, Mel?
I got one too, and
Really, well,
haven't been really good on the paperwork side of things, but it's great.
Cool.
I just
Yeah.
made a comment and I agree with Pam. I think this is a great. And because it's a community, we did it together instead of asking people individually to do it. So it's, as a community, we're in it all together. So that's great to hear. And I'm glad that I haven't picked up something yet.
Over there.
I do have one quick question, for those of you, Siobhan or Pam, the big one or the small one, like what is the
big one,
the big one?
do the big one.
I got a small one because I'm
Small.
condo liver and on my own. But the reason I'm running it is that I saved it up. I'm running it daily. I could run it twice a day right now, but I probably won't run it daily once I get through my backlog. And the resource center picked up a 5-liter.
Good stuff, Sarah.
Through the chair. So I think most of them have been distributed out at this time. However, we do still have a few units available. They are the larger size, the Eco 5 liters compared to the 2.5 liters, which is, you know, pretty standard for a 2-person household. But yeah, if there's anyone out there that still wants to get a food cycler, we do have some of the Eco 5s available.
And those are 300 and.
$300 before tax, and the smaller units, which we have now, they're all spoken for. Those were 150 plus tax. And yeah, just a reminder that if you have yours, to make sure you're tracking, because that's part of the pilot program.
Councilor Reed.
Yeah, I'm tracking and I'm sure they're gonna think, how does she do? Anyways, yeah, I know people who are trying to sign up or planning to sign up for the next shipment of 100. So I think we need to really spread the word and talk about it, and especially try and get the information out to condo livers, because I really feel that is a huge issue in a community with so many condo livers. They don't necessarily have gardens or deck gardens or anywhere to put that soil, but they definitely are throwing that because we don't have a compost system, unless we want to set that up. It's going into the garbage.
What? Yo, wow. Okay. Yeah, Sarah, go ahead.
Sorry, through the chair. Just based on what Councillor Beach is saying about the compost and where it goes. It'd be interesting to see if there's like, I know we don't have a community garden space right now, but if there's people that would like to use the compost, you can store it in a container, like a garbage bin, and keep it and then give it to someone that could use it if you're not going to use it yourself.
Yeah. I'd like to speak to that. Thank you.
Go ahead, respond, Dan.
A new process here, no. Because the resource center is not termed necessarily a community garden, because you can't come in and have your own plot. But because we produce food that is for a community food outlet, we are a community garden. And I have approached the support society about, you know, having some kind of a receptacle where people can bring their soil. that makes sense to me. We spend money trying to build up our soil every year to produce food for the food bank. So if we could take people's extra soil that they want to participate, but they really don't have a garden or potted plants or anywhere to take it, we would absolutely take it and say, thank you very much. It
Good.
would save us a lot of money.
Yeah, good. Mayor Anderson.
Yeah, and I just want to, I mean, it's great for condo livers, but it is also, to Siobhan's or Councillor Rich's point, it's great for residents too that are composting in their backyard, because we are getting a rat and a raccoon problem. So if we can cut that out, perhaps we can reduce those little critters moving into our backyards.
Yes, Siobhan?
And through the chair, I don't know if Deb's online, but again, communities in bloom, we've got all our little pots and gardens around town. One more thing for staff to do is collect compost stuff, but maybe it's something we look at into that we've got somewhere. We've got a lot of flower beds around town and communities in bloom, and there is a garden club in Sycamoose who may well be interested in this. And you know, it's a reach out that to say, hey, we've got stuff. And the folks I know that are using this are all actual, like single, like just a house. And exactly that, they're trying to get away from composting because they're having so many issues with critters. So they're bringing the compost inside. So yeah, they're awesome.
Excellent.
I'm jealous. I'm just gonna add one thing, because that just triggered a thought. Maybe there's a space in Sycamoose where we can have a depot, like bring your, and put it in a big bucket, and those that want to go and take it can just, so that we're not tying up staff time and people can just drop it off and they can pick it up at their leisure.
We could look at that.
At the bottle depot or somewhere,
Where, maybe the recycle yard.
recycle your, whatever. Yeah, that might be a thought.
Good stuff.
That's a lot of compost.
It is.
Whoa.
I opened that can of worms.
Hey,
We're excited.
go ahead.
Okay, this meeting was a bit short and sweet. I'm just going to go over some next steps, now that we have the, tax rate kind of dialed in. So I'll be preparing just a summary of everything that we've gone over in the past, just so council has it. And if any questions come out of that, please contact me. Planning to do the financial presentation end of March, with first 3 readings, and then April 10th for adoption. And then once we get all the other rates, we'll do May 8th adoption of tax rates bylaw. For the next council meeting, I'll be bringing the amendment for the fees and charges bylaw for the 2024 utility rates. Staff is still working on doing a full revamp of that bylaw. So that'll come at a later date, but at least to get those 2024 utility rates in there so everyone knows what their water and sewer is going to be for 2024. And then I will also be bringing to the next council meeting the Shuswap Trail Alliance 4-year agreement. Just knowing that council wanted to kind of just hold off until our tax numbers were a little bit more solidified. And then also the Chamber of Commerce agreement for the visitor center. And so I just wanted council's input on this a bit. So the request from the chamber, we usually have a 1-year agreement. They would like a 3-year agreement. And then also the councilor suggested changing it from an annual increase to CPI to a maximum of 5%. Whereas usually we're negotiating the amount every year, just to have a 3-year agreement, increase of CPI to a maximum of 5%. So if I could just get council's blessing on doing a 3-year agreement with those terms, or keep it an annual.
Yes, Councilor McCabe.
Yeah, I think continuity is good on both sides. So, and I would say lock it into the CPI, and then it's a known figure, pretty close to, because they establish a CPI every January or whatever, but yeah, I support a 3-year term locked into the CPI.
To the maximum of 5%?
With a cap, yeah, we passed that as a council before, so sure, keep that there too.
It'll be similar to the Trail Alliance one, so kind of,
Yeah.
similar. Yeah.
Pam?
Yeah, through the chair, I agree with Malcolm. I think it's a lot easier for everybody to plan ahead and sort of budget ahead when you give them a sort of a larger chunk to look at. So I agree with that plan. Thank you.
Good stuff. Yeah, Bianca.
Okay, I will go ahead drafting that for next council. meeting.
Go ahead.
Well, Bianca's looking for input from council.
Yeah, Counselor Rich.
100%, I agree. Chamber comes every 3 months and gives us an update, and I feel like we all work closely together, so I'm 100% on this.
Mayor Anderson.
Yeah, but I think we did have a clause, a 90-day clause in there.
Yeah, there's a 90-day clause, so if either's unhappy or whatever, we can renegotiate any terms or anything like that.
Perfect, and it caps at 5%. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Do we need
Nope, I can
Good.
take that back and, yeah.
Mayor Anderson?
No, we can just close this topic and then
Sarah?
Sorry, through the chair, I just want to go back to we were talking about recycling and the food cyclers, and just for consistency and like tracking committee decisions. I'm just wondering if you can put that through as a motion to direct staff, and then we can just have a council direction on that, just so that we can track it moving forward.
we're talking about,
Sorry, the receptacle, having staff look into.
okay, well, I'll put a motion forward that we have staff look into a space where people can go and deposit their recycled food
Thanks.
cycle.
Are you seconding that, Counselor?
I am recycling that. I am.
Good stuff.
Favor of recycling.
Yes.
Favor? Discussion?
Discussion.
Hey, man, you're counseling, you're sharing this next year. Go ahead.
If I could.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, at the dump or the recycle or the CSRD thing, there are bins there that they take some trees and they mulch it all up. And so there's a bin already at the dump that people come and take stuff out to use in their garden and stuff. Is it different stuff? Like, I'm not a gardener. Can we just not throw it in there?
Okay,
Yeah, and
Sean?
through the chair, you have to pay. It's not very much, but if I want to go get compost from the dump, I actually have to pay to do that.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I kind of feel like we keep it in our own community. If we can, let's see what the costs are and how much that is on staff. But I mean, if it's a 10 by 10 little thing, people dump in, people pick up, off we go, and it doesn't become any issue for staff. I don't know if mice like this stuff. We don't know that. Maybe they do. We've not looked into it, but I would like it to personally keep it in the community, and not outside and not having to pay for it. Because if I need to pick up compost for the dump, I actually pay for that.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Anyone else? Okay. Go ahead, Bianca.
Okay.
We vote on that? I guess we did, eh?
All in favor? Sorry. Yep, we voted now. Okay. Okay. All right.
And I just want to also note that, I just included the overall library tax position on here. And you get to see everyone, all the different communities, but should have highlighted this for myself. Not a very large increase. So 148,000, so about 5% over last year.
Yeah.
So, and then, so I also included the draft 2 of the CSRD requisition. Before we were at about a 21% increase overall, it's being brought down to 15% with reductions in solid waste, actually just reductions throughout, but the major ones in solid waste, rail trail, and the rec center. Anyone wants to touch on that?
Comments, questions?
No, thank you.
Mayor Anderson?
Thank you for looking into that and having a meeting with the CSRD. Jody, thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Last Wednesday, I was at the library meeting and Kelowna and the CAO of the library is gonna be coming to visit us here to
Mhm.
talk about the library, so very soon. She wants to come this spring. Sarah?
Confirmed for March 27th, committee of the whole.
Okay. Good,
Done.
good stuff.
Awesome.
All right, are we done?
Yep, as long as you adjourn it.
Okay,
We're all waiting for you.
yeah, can I have a can I have someone move to adjourn the meeting? Pam, seconded by Counselor Rich. Thanks, Siobhan. All in favor of adjourning? Be at 1 o'clock? Meeting adjourned, 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock or 1 o'clock?
At 1?
What?
Yeah, we're starting at 1.
Someone tell us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody knows when they're